Township of Hamiton Committee, Monday, July 1st, 2019. Please stand for the flag salute. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to lead us in the flag salute?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City on January 10th, 2019, and the Atlantic County Record on January 16th, 2019. Mr. Gouchard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
Mayor Schill?
Here. We have a moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you. We'll start off, we have a guest presentation. Dr. Gilda Roro has something she wants to talk to about, or her book that she wrote. So if you want to step up to the microphone.
Grazie, Signor Schenkel. I'm here representing the Honorary Vice Consulate for Italy in Trenton, and also the New Jersey Italian Heritage Commission, for which I was chair, and I am still chair of their Curriculum Development Committee. We aim to put Italian cultural heritage in all our schools, and we take this very seriously. I came because I love Mays Landing, and I date a long time ago, 81 years, and I've been coming to Mays Landing every weekend to visit my grandparents when they were alive. They had the Sorrentino's Bar and Grill on 4th Street and Cape May Avenue. I had relatives on every street, it seemed, and it was paradise to me. Coming from the Germantown area in Philadelphia, moving to Mays Landing, we had to take subways, a trolley car, 2 trains. It would be easier to fly to Italy than it was to come to Mays Landing in those days. But the trip was worth it because there was just so much warmth and love in this town. And I always wanted to give back because I had so many relatives here. The Dubersons, Ravels, Sorrentinos, Siriglianas, Cirigliano, but they said Siriglianas, Speras, dates for many, many people. And I have cousins here tonight, Liz and Honey Etok, who live in Mays Landing. And I was brought here by a dear friend whose daughter lives in Mays Landing, Nancy Jusiak. So I have this great connection. All my life I wanted to give something back to Mays Landing. And I worked at the Department of Education. I was very fortunate to be the director of the Civil Rights Office. So we did professional development training here, Egg Harbor, Pleasantville, and Atlantic City. And 2 years ago, we were able to do a television program, NJTV Classroom Close-Up, at Greater Egg Harbor Regional School District. And also we had staff from the school district go to the office of the Vice Consul of Italy in Philadelphia and give presentations, and at Ocean County College. But my greatest contribution is a book. I have written a memoir, and it's called Gilda Promise Me. 2 words uttered to me by Pope Pius XII when I was 13 years old. He asked me to promise that I would learn to speak Italian and I would never forget my Italian heritage. I took that seriously, and that took me from the time of my childhood to becoming the honorary vice consul for Italy. The beginning of the book is dedicated to Mays Landing, and I have anecdotal information here that you're not going to find in textbooks. My mother, for example, used to help my grandfather at the cotton mill during the summer. Sometimes the children would go and help their father trim the edges of the cloth so that he could get paid on Saturdays. And my mother would say, it was so hot in July, and the cotton particles were skittering throughout the atmosphere. But she said, I just pretend that it was snowing in July. You're never going to hear that in a textbook. But anyway, I would like to donate this to the Historical Society, the Historical Committee here in Hamiton Township, with a great deal of love and affection. And I am so proud that the Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito wrote the introduction, in which he says the book makes a lasting impression and a valuable contribution to the study of Italian Americans. So please accept this with a great deal of affection, pride, and esteem in my connection to Mays Landing, my second home, and a place that I love.
Sitting in a room with a lot of people who feel the same way you do about this.
Well, they should. Because no better place.
Charlie, want to get a picture?
Charlie.
Okay. Additions or deletions of the late agenda? I don't believe I saw any, Mike. Early public comment on agenda items, excluding items listed for public hearings.
Mr. Mayor, Elaine Dix, 7E and G.
Good evening. My first question is the grant for $213,582. It's regrettable Mr. Sandman isn't here because he'd probably be the one with the answers. I tried to list the questions to be concise. Are these funds dedicated to a specific use?
Mike, you want to speak on this? Mike was going to speak on this before I brought it up.
Yeah, it's for the evaluation of the landfill.
What does that mean?
They're doing more studies on it, about capping it. It's a grant for them. We'll get the money and have to disperse it to them as they do the work.
Second question, what is, and again, Sandman's not here. Judy, you attended the meeting, as I recall it, July 25th, 2013, Conference Room A. Sandman said that he learned in that 2 hours the most he ever heard of what was going on at the landfill in that 2-hour meeting. There was an encroachment discussed without being more specific. I don't find anything on the internet to show me that it was corrected. Does anybody know if the encroachment problem of the landfill was corrected? We discussed it 6 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's been corrected yet.
All right, it's going to get more complicated because now he's divorced and in Arizona. What is the projected time to close out this redevelopment project? It's been so long, I don't know when it started. I didn't bother to look in my records to see when it was declared in need, but I don't see anything has much happened except Sean, I think was his name, and he no longer works for the company that was handling it. Do we know when we can expect a resolution?
Do you have a timeline, Mike?
I don't have a firm timeline from Jeff. No, I spoke to him today, but I don't know that he has a firm timeline.
Okay.
Do we
Can we invite him to a meeting to give us an update?
Certainly.
Maybe the next meeting?
That would be a good idea.
Is it possible we're going to cap it and not do anything else? We're not going to put something undesirable on it?
Well, the plan is to do whatever we have to satisfy Pinelands and the DEP as far as capping, and then do solar.
So we're talking solar, which is not an undesirable. Nothing more?
That's the only thing that's planned right now.
Well,
That
that's
is the
changed in
plan.
the last 6 years then.
Yeah.
All right, the second question is the JIF renewal. And my number one question is, has an attorney reviewed the proposed contract?
I don't know if you guys reviewed it yet.
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but I will check with Solicitor Sandman, and we can at least report back to the township.
All right, what is the status of the JIF providing, and this is tied right to the first question, what's the status of the JIF providing legal representation to the members, you being the member, you, the township committee? Do we know if that's in there?
You mean is there fiduciary insurance?
No. Is there, how do we know that when there's a litigation, that the joint insurance fund is going to carry out the promise that I have heard since 1986, that in fact we will have attorneys representing us? How do we know?
Is that part of JIF? Or do we have a separate policy
We
for
have
that?
an ordinance, indemnification ordinance.
All right, the third question is there a clause in that agreement mandating, and again, I wish Sandman was here, I'm sorry, young man, that you don't know the history here. Is there a clause permitting the joint insurance fund to settle lawsuits?
I couldn't tell you that.
I'd have to know. I don't think Ingrid knows the answer to that.
Each lawsuit depends on its own circumstance, and I would have to look to see if there's a specific clause in that contract, which I could do.
All right. I have filed in the past Oprah's asking for a resolution to go into executive session. That would spell out if the joint insurance fund was going to talk to you in executive session about any pending litigation, there would be a resolution, which is public information. There was none. There were no executive session minutes either, which that says there never was a meeting. It doesn't mean I can't have them or the world can't have them. It means there was no meeting. So in my best knowledge, personal records at home, your records on the internet, I can't find anything where the joint insurance fund has brought an attorney into this building to take you guys into executive session to discuss any lawsuit that they are representing you on. I'm sorry whoever said, oh Jesus, because now we have the punchline for you. Art, I bumped into you at an MUA meeting in September 7, 2017. It took me 2 months from when I found a settled lawsuit that settled in 2013 while I was sitting in that chair, and the joint insurance fund settled a lawsuit for $1.2 million, and I, as someone sitting in that chair, never had any idea until I stumbled on it in September of 2017. I then spent extensive time finding the records, which there were none. I got finally from the MEL, Municipal Excess Lines, in North Jersey. They gave me some records, and finally, Rita, who's not here tonight, was ready to tear her hair out. She finally came up with this letter, and I'm going to turn it into you. It's from Attorney Stackhouse on June 3rd, 2013, wrote a letter to Chief Tappener, explaining to Chief Tappener why he settled a lawsuit that you people never had a chance to discuss, be aware. It was scheduled for trial, and it was settled right in front of the trial. I don't want, whether this is meritorious or this person got the short end of the stick at $1.2 million, which I think she may have. I don't want any more settlements of lawsuits by the JIF that you people don't know about. You could blame it on whoever you want to blame it on, but I think, and Mr. Sandman's buddy, Paul D'Amato, advertises on the radio. He keeps his clients constantly in contact, copies them on every piece of correspondence. You sit there, and I've never seen you go into an executive session to discuss pending litigation. The whole list of it. So that's the scary part. I'm going to give this to the young man. I'll sit down. But I don't know if you want to redo this tonight or wait 2 weeks and get an attorney review to make sure this doesn't ever happen again. Thank you. I'm sorry, it's 2 pages.
Can I ask you a question just for our review purposes?
Yes.
Was your suggestion that the committee should have authorized more payment to be made to this individual? Just so I understand.
My suggestion is that when you're scheduled for trial, that the client, the township, should have known that you're about to go to trial and what the cost of the settlement was. Is it better to settle or is it better to try it? I don't think they have the power to usurp our rights as a government, our rights as taxpayers. That's really the whole issue. Okay. How many other settlements are they making? That's the point. More information to these people who we elected to represent us. Thank you.
Thank you, Aileen. Mike, that's it? Okay. Number 3, discussions, formal actions may be taken. A is a public hearing, Comcast of South Jersey LLC, application for renewal of municipal consent. Mike, we have somebody here that's going to bring us up to speed.
Yeah, hi. Good evening. My name is Ed Purcell. I'm an attorney at DeFrancesco Bateman. I'm acting as special counsel for the township in its negotiations with Comcast. Tonight, the township is going to be conducting a public hearing in regards to Comcast's application for renewal of its cable franchise, really to get input from the public on that and to permit the township to finalize its negotiations with Comcast. Just to back up, the existing franchise that the township has with Comcast took over the franchise from Siemens Communication. That Siemens franchise was in 2000. It ended in 2010, but it was automatically renewed until 2020, so the existing franchise ends in 2020. The portion of the franchise process that we're at now is called the municipal consent phase, and essentially it begins tonight with this public hearing. Then we go into negotiations. The township will determine whether or not to grant the renewal of Comcast franchise, at which point an ordinance would be transmitted to the NJBPU for review, and when the BPU approves it, then we would introduce it and adopt it. So, maybe we're looking at a few months here until this is finalized. I've been having discussions along with Mike Jacobs with Comcast previously. Comcast has been very receptive to, for the most part, keeping the franchise as it existed previously with Siemens. And then, we had some discussions about tech grants, which Comcast was very responsive to. And that's where it is.
How long is this contract for?
15 years, which
15 years.
15 years,
So
which is
whatever settlement now or whenever is reached, now is that an annual payout for it, or is it one-time payout?
It's so the franchise fee is collected by the municipality on an annual basis.
Okay.
So the way this works is there would be a vote to open the public comment period. Fred DeAndrea is here for Comcast. He would come and speak. Anyone from the public can come and speak, and then you would do a vote to close public comment.
Question, typically, what would the grounds be for non-renewal?
Well, that's a very tricky question. It would have to be a company that would be completely not providing in any ways, shape, or form adequate service. The fact of the matter is that if a municipality were to ever not grant a franchise renewal, then what would happen is the company would appeal that to the BPU, and in all likelihood, the BPU would grant the franchise.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question. This is quite an extensive contract. I've read through almost the entire thing. A few items still left to look at. Has there been any benefit to the township where there is no charge to areas like schools, special services, something that you're giving back to the community?
So in the existing, and Mr. DeAndrea maybe can speak to this, but in the existing contract, there was free cable services that were provided to each school and library within the township. And those services, would be continued, or in the proposal that Comcast has. But maybe we should open it up and let Comcast
Yes,
answer
that's
these type of
what
questions. I
was
think
gonna
that would probably be the
suggest.
thing to
So,
do.
the chair will accept a motion to open up the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion second. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. My name is Fred DeAndre. I'm the Senior Director of Government Affairs for Comcast in New Jersey. As Mr. Purcell said, we're here tonight. This public hearing is in further pursuance of Comcast's renewal of its franchise agreement in Hamiton Township. This process began actually 3 years ago when we sent a letter to the township on November 20th of 2017 indicating our intention to seek renewal of our non-exclusive franchise. So that means our agreement does not prevent any other providers from providing service in town. Fios is a provider in Hamilton Township, and any other provider that wanted to come in and run wires and provide service to your residents are able to do so. Comcast does not have an exclusive contract with the township. In fact, that would be illegal under the Federal Cable Act. We filed our renewal application with the township earlier this year on April 10th. That application is an overview of our qualifications, some of the engineering specs of our cable system, rates, tariffs, officers of the company. It basically speaks to our expertise in providing, building and maintaining cable networks and serving customers. There were many benefits that were provided to the township as part of the previous franchise agreement, which actually goes back to 1994. It was a 15-year initial term with a 10-year automatic renewal, as Mr. Purcell said. There were many line extensions in the township, serving hundreds of customers that were previously unserved on courtesy services, courtesy video services provided to township entities. So, given the audience here tonight, I should also point out that the police department is eligible for courtesy video also. That's something that the company is happy to provide. And then, we're in negotiations and discussions to see what equipment and other resources are needed to maintain your shared educational and government access channel that's seen on our cable system. And I know you also simulcast that on YouTube. So it's really tonight, there's no action required by the governing body tonight. I know Ed had said that also. It's an opportunity for the township to hear from the public and for Comcast to hear from the public. We're a little ahead of the game in this process. We started earlier to address some of these community needs. The current agreement actually doesn't extend until October of 2020. So we're here like a good 9-10 months early, which is fine and permittable under the state law. We're just following this process and the regs that are prescribed in state and federal law. So that's our purpose tonight, to hear from the governing body, to hear from the public, talk about our performance as a provider. A lot has changed since '94. It was an analog world. We're now offering digital cable and HD cable video service. There's more competition today than there's ever been with not just wire-based providers like Verizon, Fios. You have over-the-top providers. People are getting their content over the internet, whether it's a Netflix or an Amazon original content that they're producing. It's a very competitive industry right now. It's never been more competitive. Of course, we're providing broadband, both residential and commercial, for the township. We are on the commercial end. We can bring fiber directly into a university, a hospital, a large office park with speeds up to 10 gigs, so it's completely scalable. We're making those investments. It's been billions of dollars in New Jersey over the past 10 years. A lot of things haven't changed though on the community investment side. We had our 18th year of Comcast Cares Day, our national day of service where employees work with their friends and family in the communities where we live and serve. I know we had a project in town at the I believe it was the Funny Farm Animal Rescue and Sanctuary, where we had residents go out there, and I think it was the first Saturday in May, and volunteer at that center. And as broadband has become more important, we've put a focus on delivering more access to technology and broadband adoption. In 2011, we created a program called Internet Essentials, which is a low-cost internet service for families who have kids in school eligible for a free or reduced lunch. We've also expanded that program to include anyone living in public housing. So that could be like a housing authority, or it could also be a Section 8 voucher. We've also expanded that program to include low-income veterans. So what the program is, it's a service that's only $9.95 a month. As long as you're eligible for the service, that rate stays locked in. There's also an opportunity to purchase a computer for $149 that's subsidized. We also provide digital literacy training, both classroom-based and online training. That's our strongest community impact focus area right now, is that digital inclusion and digital literacy, helping people get this technology in the home so they can participate in this digital economy. So those are some of the things we're doing on the community investment front. And I'm happy to take any questions from the committee now, sir.
Yeah, what percentage of your coverage area has fiber?
Our entire network on the residential side, it's a hybrid fiber coax system. So we bring fiber deep into the community. It's what's called a node. And then from there, that node probably serves anywhere from 150 to 250 households. And that's a copper line that comes into the home. It's completely scalable. We have gigabit speeds right now available for residential customers. Actually, we have a product that's up to 2 gig symmetrical, which is a pure fiber play, fiber to the home play if someone is truly interested in those speeds, which is a bit much for any common customer right at this point, but it's completely a scalable network.
All of your customers have access to high-speed internet?
Absolutely. Across the state, the product lineup is uniform. We don't have, I know the old agreement back in the 90s spoke to that. A lot of the signals are fed from Pleasantville, where we have a head end that's a point in our network, where, whether it's video content or other, internet is managed. And there would be agreements saying, if the neighboring town gets it, we need to make sure we get that as well. The network is it's across New Jersey. Obviously, you'll have different broadcast channels in the New York market versus the Philadelphia market, but in terms of internet speeds and pricing and voice service, Xfinity Home Security, it's all offered throughout our service territory.
Thank you.
My understanding then is that we still have room for further discussion on things that possibly Comcast could do for the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something
including
could
the
come up
comments
tonight.
you made with our police department. That sounded really
Right,
good.
courtesy video service. We could explore that for the police department. If they're not, I believe they may be receiving it already, but it's something we would certainly look to continue. And there may be something else that's brought forward tonight that
And we can
be
bring that up.
entered into
Okay.
discussions. Yeah, tonight's an opportunity to hear from the public. I mean, it has to be reasonable, related to cable service in light of the costs, but yeah, we're happy to have those conversations.
Great, thank you.
You
And
mentioned-
we're also, I know there was a question about the term. Certainly, that's negotiable as well. That last agreement, 15 years with a 10-year automatic renewal, that's a long term. We're doing shorter terms, so it could be anywhere from 10 years to 15, depending on the wishes of the township. This process starts 3 years out from expiration, so you'd be right back at it in 7 years if you did a 10-year term.
How does this affect the pricing for our residents?
The state and local entities have no regulatory jurisdiction over pricing.
So you mentioned earlier that you do a discounted, and I believe it was $9.95 for veterans and families in need, and
Yes, for internet service, yes.
so, I mean, just a suggestion, families in need can't afford $9.95 for internet, and no kid should not have internet in this day and age. Any kid that goes to school and not internet at home is at a disadvantage. And I would think a company of your size would have already been ahead of the curve on something like this. Because these kids, they're going to school, they're learning how to use computers. If they're not doing it at home, it's such a disadvantage to the kids that have all that at home. So it would be a good way for Comcast to try and help even the playing field for all the kids of this township and other townships, other towns.
I think folks took that into consideration when designing the program. And it's been quite successful since we launched in 2011. We've connected millions of residents to the internet that didn't have it previously, and it's tens of thousands in New Jersey. I can get you updated numbers on that and how the program was designed. But it's been successful, and we're seeing in our, the lowest income areas in New Jersey, whether it's rural like in South Jersey, whether it's like a Bridgeton or Camden, Atlantic City. We're working with schools and nonprofit partners and housing authorities to get the word out, and people are finding some value in it. And they're
You mentioned a lot of
ascribing
towns.
a cost to it to find value in it.
You mentioned a lot of towns that are UEZ zones and stuff like that, but we have the same issue right here in this town, unfortunately.
It's absolutely eligible, across our footprint. And if there's any, whether it's the high school or nonprofits you want us to engage, we're happy to do that.
So how do you get that information out to the general public? Let's just take our town, for
So
instance.
in the
Through
Philadelphia market,
schools?
we have traditional media, so you're going to see broadcast advertising, you're going to see print, you're going to see banner ads on websites, you're going to see the traditional radio ads. We also work with school districts, so we would pick up the costs for a mailing to go home from the school district if they wanted to partner with us, saying there's importance in broadband connectivity at home. This isn't necessarily an endorsement of Comcast, but we're making this knowledge available to you that this program exists. Here's some more information about it from Comcast. If you're interested in the service, you can reach out directly to Comcast. We have a dedicated call center that manages the orders for us. So you're not going to call a Comcast call center in, say, Voorhees, who may try and, where they're selling multiple products and there could be some confusion. We have a dedicated call center that only deals with this service, so there's no confusion about different products and services.
Okay.
And it's we can do a free professional installation for residents. It comes with a cable modem and a router so they can connect multiple devices in the home. And that install is at no charge to.
Free HBO.
This is the internet now I'm talking about now. No free HBO.
Okay. Well, maybe we can talk more about that, because that's something that I think is very important. I think what you're doing is very nice. I'd like to see you do more, that's all. This is a public hearing, and if you're done, please don't run away. You might have to answer a question or two.
Happy to field any questions from the governing body, but.
Anybody in the public? Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Anybody in the public like to speak, ask a question? Get free HBO? No? It's the guy. This is him.
I'll make a motion to close public portion.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second, to close public portion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming in here tonight. I
Thank you, Mayor.
appreciate it. Very informative. We have our option to move ahead, or we can put this off and get a little more information. Am I correct?
Oh, no. No, this is just a hearing, so,
Yeah, right.
at
So
the
don't have
next
to make
meeting,
any-
we'll discuss, between now and the next meeting, I'm going to talk to Mr. DeAndrea and Mr. Jacobs and sort of further the negotiations, and then at the next meeting, there'll be some further discussion, and then we can talk about an ordinance in August.
Okay, so we got a few months of
Talking and.
for October.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, very good, thank you. Thank you to both of you gentlemen for coming in tonight, it was very informative.
Thank you.
We'll move to B, resolution providing the combination of certain issues of general obligation bonds or notes to the Township of Hamilton in the County of Atlantic, New Jersey, into a single issue general obligation bond in the aggregate principal amount of $5,400,000. Mike, would you like to give us a little background on this, please?
Yes. This is a total of our bands and this year's bond amount. They're combining them all to sell as a new bond for the township. We're currently this year paying off an issue that's going to reduce our costs by about $800,000. One of our other bonds goes up a couple hundred, so it's like a $600,000 net savings. By putting this bond in place now, it'll fill that section up so our debt service will stay the same or go down slightly.
Okay.
It's timely, the auditor recommends it. Yes.
By doing this, are we a lower interest rate?
They're projecting 2.8%.
Okay, we won't know that until
We
we
won't know until they're
lock it in.
sold.
Right, okay. So we need to take action on this?
Yes, yes.
I'll make a motion to move the resolution.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanko?
Yes. Thank you. C, resolution determining the form and other details of $5.4 million general obligation bonds, Series 2019 of the Township of Hamilton in the County of Atlantic, New Jersey, and providing for their sale. So this is the existing bonds we're talking about here.
This sets out the terms of the new fund
Okay.
that we would be doing.
All right. You have anything you'd like to add?
No.
That's it? It's pretty short and sweet?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
You have listed the years, 2020, 21, 2021, and so on. And yet after each one, you have an amount, $450,000 for 2020. Is that what is going to be released as a bond, or how's that work?
That'd be our payment, our principal payment that we would make that year towards this new bond.
On the new
And of course,
bond,
there's
yes.
debt service as well.
Oh, okay, that's what we're paying
That's what we're paying, yes.
on the new bond?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I thought we were.
What's your
So
pleasure?
I'd like to move the resolution, 3C.
We
I'll
have-
second it.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanko?
Yes. We move to 4, public hearing, adoption of ordinances. A, ordinance 1904, 2019, an ordinance amending Chapter 301, Article 1 of Chapter 3, and Chapter 301, Article 8, excuse me, of the Township Code to create no parking, stopping, or standing zone on Cotillion Boulevard and Oakwood Boulevard in the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey. Now, this is talking about just one side of the street, am I correct?
Yes, it would make one side of the street no stopping, standing, or parking. This was recommended by Wade Smith, our traffic officer.
Okay.
And we went to the engineer who designed the side, chose the side of the street, but then it also went to the Industrial Commission for their review. They made some minor changes, and this is in front of you tonight.
Okay, very good.
And why is this important to do?
There's an issue with when you're parking on both sides, 2 tractor trailers wouldn't be able to comfortably go by each other in between parking on both sides. So by restricting it to one, it opens up another 9 feet of travel lane.
Long overdue. I'll move to adopt the ordinance.
This is-
Second,
Hold on. It's a public hearing. So anybody in the public like to speak?
Move to close the public portion?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on the closing of public portion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. John,
I'll make the motion to adopt.
thank you.
I'll second it.
We have a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. We'll move to B, ordinance 1905, 2019, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property known as Block 809, Lot 6 in the Township of Hamilton from Fred A. Boren for open space recreation purposes with funding through the Great Egg Harbor Watershed Association, the New Jersey DEP, Green Acres Program, and the Atlantic County Open Space Trust. Mike?
Yes, our agreement with the county requires us to adopt this ordinance to acquire land. They're providing some grant funding to us, and Mr. Akers is here tonight as well, if you had any questions for him.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Akers, or you pretty much know This has been going on for quite some time. It's a pretty good thing. So this is a public hearing. Anybody in the public like to speak or ask questions?
Motion to close public portion.
Second.
We have a motion to close public portion. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Chair will recognize a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'll move ordinance 1905, 2019.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move on to number 6, awards and bids of contracts. Change orders. A resolution authorizing award of bid 2019-06, electrical repair, maintenance, and service for the Township of Hamiton to Electric Tech Incorporated for the amount not to exceed $50,000 for a period from 8/15/19 to 8/14/20.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? We need a roll call for this? Yeah, let's do a roll call, just in case.
Mr. Gashard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
B, resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2019 Chevrolet Express rear-wheel drive 2500 cargo van from Mall Chevrolet Incorporated under State Contract T2103, Contract 88213, for the amount not to exceed $24,000.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gashard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes. C, resolution to authorize an agreement with the Phoenix Advisors LLC of Bordentown, New Jersey to act as financial advisor for the 2019 bond issued to the township not to exceed $12,200, authorize Dorothy Gallagher, Chief Financial Officer, to sign same. What's your pleasure?
Move to, move the resolution, 6C.
I'll second it.
it.
We have a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gashard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes. D, resolution authorizing the purchase of fire department radio communications equipment from Tactical Public Safety under state contract A83932 for the amount not to exceed $149,909.04.
I'll move that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mike, this is the same people who have been doing the radios that we already have, and am I correct in stating that the problems that we were having with these radios we're good now?
They're much improved. I won't say they're 100%.
I was shooting for perfect, Mike.
Yes. Yeah, I wish I could say it was perfect, but I think that they've had some recent issues. I don't know if you want more information, but
So last I
they are
heard,
working on it.
they did some work with the towers.
With the towers.
and That helped, and now we're starting to have. Okay. Do we,
Is there anyone else to go to, or
we're
It's-
pretty deep
we're
into
in,
this.
we're
too.
in the
Yeah.
system with them.
we're into it?
We're into up to our necks. So is it, I mean, is this something that we want to jump into, or do we need to see them address these other issues before we spend another $150,000?
Well, the fire department, they're looking forward to getting these additional radios to fill out the rest of their needs.
Okay.
So I
So
would
we're
say we
confident
need to
that these
buy
will
them.
work?
They'll work as good as the system's working. I mean, which is, like I say, is much improved from where it was since they did the towers.
Okay.
So the installation could be contributing to the problems we're having, right?
Well, there was a tower issue was one of the issues.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the recent interference has been, but they're looking into it.
Okay.
Could we do it with condition that they give us a report on
Oh, we can get a report.
improving?
Yeah, we can get a report. The SAB's getting reports each meeting. We can certainly get a report here.
All right. And I know that, we've been Lieutenant Alcott's been working
Yeah.
on this, so, it's not,
Yeah.
it has gotten better, but, we don't want our guys out there with losing radio contact when it's important. So,
Absolutely.
all right, committee, what's your pleasure?
I'll move that resolution.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Are there any other questions?
Does this complete our acquisition of equipment, radio communications equipment?
I would say 99% yes. There's always odds and ends, but this is
This is the bulk of it.
the bulk of it.
Right, yes, okay. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishart?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes. Okay, number 7, we're going to move to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve items A through C, F through H, and pull items D and E for comment.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. To pull out D, D is a resolution to approve hazardous discharge site let me try that again. Remediation Fund, Public Entity Grant Agreement for the Hamiton Township Sanitary Landfill, and authorize mayor to sign the same. Mike, could you give us some background on this, please?
Yes, sir, Mayor. The reason I asked to speak is I wanted to let the committee know that this is funds that are coming into the township. It's not our funds. We're going to
Okay.
administer them, but we'll get them first. We don't have to lay out the money.
Okay, good. That's always better.
Yes.
Okay. Committee, what's your pleasure?
I'll move that resolution.
I'll
Item
second.
D.
We have a motion and a second to move resolution under item D.
D.
Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. E, Chapter 159, resolution to insert item of revenue with an offsetting appropriation for hazardous discharge site remediation fund grant from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection in the amount of $213,582.
Yes, sir, Mayor. This just puts the grant in the budget so that we can spend it
Okay,
through the state.
all right. We have to recognize it before we can
Yes.
spend it.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. What's your pleasure, committee?
I'll move it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Personnel, A, appointment of Township of Hamilton Chief of Police at a salary of $142,000 annually to be effective July 2nd, 2019 at 9 a.m., subject to negotiation and signing of employment agreement.
I'll make a motion to appoint Greg Ciambrone as Township of Hamilton Chief of Police.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions? Do we need to do this under a roll call? Yes? May I have a roll call vote, please? Thank you.
Gishart?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes,
All yes.
thank you. B, resolution to hire Danielle Kelly as Clerk 3 in the Community Development Office at $33,900.12 annually, effective date to be determined, employment contingent upon successful completion of physical and background check.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Gishart?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes.
C, resolution to hire Danielle Kelly as Zoning Board of Adjustment Secretary at the recommendation of the board to commence with her hire date as Clerk 3 in the Office of the Community Development at $2,241 annually.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishart?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes. D, resolution to hire Omar Wright as a temporary full-time labor at $16 per hour effective July 15, 2019, not to exceed 11 months in duration. Employment contingent upon successful completion of background check and employment physical drug screening.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any questions? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bouchard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Philip?
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes. Number 9, approvals. A, minutes of regular meeting, June 17, 2009.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. B, minutes of special executive meeting, June 19, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bouchard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Philip?
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes. C, payroll and bills totaling $7,776,310.07.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bouchard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes. We move on to number 10, reports. Administrator, Mr. Administrator, do you have anything?
Nothing to add.
All right. You've done well tonight. Mr. Solicitor.
Just 3 brief items. The Solicitor's Office has assisted the Township in responding to a subpoena for documents in the matter Joseph C. Rogers Jr. against U.S. Municipal Supply Co., which is in the Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia. We've assisted with that, and our understanding is Dave DeWeese is assisting with some GIF-related responses to that matter, and that will wrap that up.
Okay.
We have also filed complaints on maintenance bonds related to Victoria Point. Again, Township of Hamilton against Travelers Casualty and Surety Company. These were filed, I believe, last week. And Township of Hamilton against Travelers. So, and Baker Residential of Pennsylvania LLC. So those were filed last week, and we will keep the township abreast in the ordinary course as they move forward.
Thank you. Does that complete your report?
It does.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Engineer.
Yeah, Mayor and Committee, I have a few items. The first is the Old Egg Harbor Road Bridge. 2 weeks ago, I reported that the county accepted our request to delay the start date to July the 8th because of the baseball tournament. Now the county is going to delay the start of that bridge till July 22nd. There's some equipment, some components of the bridge that are back ordered, and they're not going to start till July 22nd. So I'll keep in close contact with the county on that bridge because that may push us pretty close to school starting up, the beginning of September. So
What did they say, 6 to 8 weeks or what?
6 to 8 weeks. So that pushes us right to about when school openings are going to occur.
So when you say start, just so everybody understands, the start of this bridge is they're building the utility bridge across first?
This is the Old Egg Harbor Road.
Oh, the one
Bridge,
down by
Cotton Mill,
Underhill.
I'm
I'm sorry. Okay.
That road will be shut down. So it's going to be a
Gonna be tough,
bit of
yeah.
a traffic issue.
Well, they've got a lot of the sections built already. I was talking to someone from the county that I know, and they told me they do have that, but it's still going to take a little bit of time.
That's exactly right.
Steve, I had a question. I think I've asked this before. Due to the flooding that we had there that pretty much inundated that one house there that was there forever, it was covered with water, halfway up with water, and the bridge was flooded over. I had asked at the time when they first proposed this, is there any way that the county could, after they take the top off of that bridge, get some kind of machinery down in that gully to clear it of branches, trees, debris, and things that would help that water flow properly through there instead of just building a new bridge. Could you comment on that?
I will. I asked Doug DeMayo, the county bridge engineer, that question, and he said he'll make sure that their public works department takes care of that, and I'll be out there to keep an eye on it myself.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
The second item on my list is the the Cotton Mill Bridge.
Okay.
The Cotton Mill Bridge, and I'm going to be in contact with the county. They meet every Tuesday to talk about the bridges. I'll be on the phone with them Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'll report back to committee every meeting. There's a delay in the Cotton Mill Bridge. They need 3 levels of approval from the state, one from the comptroller, one for their design, and the third for their specifications. So that October 1st, 2019 start date is in jeopardy right now. The county's looking to maybe break the contract up into two parts. If you remember from the meeting we went to a few weeks ago, there's a utility replacement portion, and then there's the bridge. They're considering doing the utility replacement as a separate contract. So again, I'll keep in close
So
contact.
that would mean they would be doing the utility bridge this year, and then next year would be the actual bridge.
That's correct.
So everyone's clear, there's a certain time during the year that they can do this bridge, and then they must stop. So there's a milestone they have to hit before, I believe it's sometime in April.
April 1st to June 30th.
Yes.
That's a time frame where they cannot be doing any work within the waterway. They have to have their coffer dam installed
Yes.
prior to April 1st. Otherwise, we lose a season.
Given the fact that this is going to cause a lot of delays throughout the township, and even confusion for some, can we have them have a public meeting in here and invite the residents of the township,
Yeah,
especially the ones in the area, to see what the traffic plan is going to look like, so that they'll have an idea?
I think that's an excellent idea, and I'll reach out for the county tomorrow to come in here.
I'd appreciate that,
I will.
thank you.
Yep, sure.
And Steve, on that same line, I had some members of the Masonic Lodge contact me. That building is old, built on a sand bed, and they're a little bit concerned if it's been addressed about the extent of the pile driving that has to be done and how it would affect that building. Has anybody brought that up or discussed that? I wasn't at that meeting.
There's going to be some sensors placed on that structure and any structures nearby.
Okay.
I'll keep a close watch on that. I've asked the county if we could have access to any of the, before, during, and after results of anything that occurs out there, and they said yes, but when they come here, when I get them here, we could ask those questions again also.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
I just have a few more items. New York Avenue, the stop bar was installed a couple of weeks ago. I know the traffic patterns out there, I think they missed it for a few days there we moved it back 70 feet.
Yeah,
We
quite a bit.
relocated the sign, stop here. So we'll keep a watch on that, but it has been relocated finally.
Yeah, the only thing that I see, and I pass there 3 or 4 times a day, is the majority of the cars stopping adhere to the stop bar, okay? But those that are wanting to make a right-hand turn on red trickle all down, and you may get 2 or 3 cars in there. Hopefully, that won't interfere with any of the larger vehicles, like the fire trucks, being able to make that turn with them being there. So, but that's not anything we did wrong. It's something that they're taking upon themselves to do.
They're taking the risk. And
Yes, they are.
the only other 2 things I want to report, Outback Steakhouse opened up last week, finally. And I just wanted to talk about Tavistock. Tavistock's project is moving ahead nicely. They're going to do the stabilized asphalt base repair on Wednesday. That's all the potholes that have been out there, all the intersections. So our WAC will be out there this Wednesday. That's at least a few days to a week's worth of work. And in about a week and a half, they're going to do, that intersection there by their clubhouse has been elevated a couple of feet. So within about 3 weeks, that work will be completed out there. And the residents seem to be very happy.
Good.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Steve. Move on to Township Committee. Judy?
I had the pleasure of going over to the ribbon cutting ceremony of the Outback Steakhouse. I have an outhouse at our place, so they were bending over backwards to just make a wonderful experience when you go in there. It is a fabulous experience, especially when they bring all the hors d'oeuvres over to the table. Is that true? I have to say that our experience in interviewing all the lieutenants of our police force was it was unbelievable. Everyone is so qualified, and we have to be absolutely blown over by the experience of everyone. And if we could make everyone a police chief, we would, but we can't. So it's amazing the qualifications that each brought to the table, and I'd like to congratulate them on that. And that's it.
Thank you, Judy. John?
I reiterate Joni, her concerns, Judy's concerns, and questions. I was part of that process too, and the level of professionalism that exists among all the members of our police department is just unbelievable. We're very fortunate to have the kind of police department we have in the Township of Hamiton. My next comment would be, I'd like to talk about a little bit about Sugar Hill. As you know, we approved tonight the liquor license to be changed over there, and I just want to say that's a big part of our community. The gentleman who is the new owner there now is planning a lot of great things to happen there, extended hours, hiring some more employees, and I think he's going to do a bang-up job in our township, and we certainly want to, if you get an opportunity, to all welcome him there. Next, our hometown celebration happened on Saturday. Very hot, very, very hot, as you all know. We had a water slide out in the middle of the street for the kids. They had a great time. There was a lot of things going on. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the Pooch Parade, which Judy puts on every year, and it was a shame that had to happen. The dogs were all there. They showed up. You know what I mean? But it's just, it was a little too hot to put them through that kind of parade around the fountain and all that in that heat, so we didn't have that. But otherwise, it was a nice event. We kudos to the Mays Landing Merchants Association for making that happen. Again, it was held on our main street, and we had to shut down the main street and put up some barriers and things you have to do to protect an event like that, and that's done everywhere now. And I just thought that it was a great event, and I'm hoping that we can continue that. And that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Roger?
Yeah, normally a hometown celebration, when it's held in War Memorial Park, regardless of how hot it is, seems to not be too bad a place to be. But we've lost a lot of trees there in the last year or two. And I know the township is looking at replacing a lot of them, and it's going to take them a few years to mature to get to a point where it's going to provide shade enough to satisfy. But the nice thing about having a hometown celebration, it's something a woman said here tonight when she was dedicating the book to the Historical Society, that it's a warm community, and you have that feeling of belonging. And I think when you meet all the different people that go through there, whether they're there for an hour or 2 hours, it was like a revolving attendance during the day. And I would say we had a good attendance there, and it was nice to be there on that day. And I would compliment Judy, because I understand she gave trophies out to the dogs, even if they registered and didn't drink too much water, right, Judy?
Yes.
Huh? So, but at the last meeting, I made some comments about something that Ingrid put in her report about the Girl Scouts adopting the cleanup of the basins on Main Street. And I expressed some real concerns about the fact that it's a busy area sometimes. And, you know, when you have people out there not paying attention, it could be very dangerous. But I was enlightened during the week by several people who told me how it would be handled, and the fact that they would exercise all the safety necessary to do it. And the planning is to extend and expand this type of volunteerism to doing other catch basins in areas of the township. So I wholeheartedly support it, and I wish them well in what they're doing, because we know the volunteers in this community. God knows we never have enough, but, and I thank you for that report, Ingrid. That's what enlightened me.
Thank you, Roger. Ronnie?
Yes, I'm very happy to hear that the hometown celebration, which is a great event, went as well as it did. Sorry to hear that the Pooch Parade didn't go on as planned. It reminds me, I can understand why though, because I remember last year in the Pooch Parade, one of the winning dogs there was a Saint Bernard. He was huge, and he was suffering in the heat. And he was very friendly. He'd come over to you, but he was slobbering all over the place. So you had to keep your distance. So I think that's probably a wise decision.
Didn't he jump in the pond?
Yeah, I think he did.
jumped
Jumped
in
in
the
the
fountain.
Yeah.
Jumped into the fountain.
Yeah, he did.
Regarding
Pushed him out of the way.
our interviews of the policemen, I just want to echo what all the other members said. They were tremendously impressive, our candidates for chief. Very, very professional and very knowledgeable, not only about police matters, but about social issues and concerns about organizational structure and efficiency. They were very impressive, and I think any one of them would have been happy to become the chief. That's how much confidence we had in them. When I look at them and I look at some of the stuff I see in the news about other policemen, there's just no comparison. These guys are at the top. In that regard, that's well known. In fact, there is a gentleman, I think you guys are aware of this, who has very much looked forward to becoming a Mays Landing policeman, or Hamiton Township policeman. But when the interviews were scheduled, he had a conflict. The military had given him orders to report, and you have to obey those orders. So he couldn't make the interview, and he requested another date, but apparently that didn't happen. So I would just ask that consideration be given to providing that interview to him, because they're certainly beyond his control, and I know this particular individual is very much interested in becoming a policeman. He's a very professional young man.
Mike knows about it, though, Ronnie. Go ahead.
Mike knows about it, yeah. You working on it, you said? Okay, very good. All right, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Rodney. And I would also like to echo, I can honestly say to you, picking a new police chief was probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever been involved with. I said to the committee after the interviews were over, we're very fortunate that we have 4 candidates as qualified, as good as they are. It really bodes, it says how good of a police department we have, and we should be proud of that. Unfortunately, we had to pick one, and that was very difficult. We labored over it for quite a long time, and unfortunately, we had to come up with one chief. And I hope after today things go back to somewhat of normalcy. We'll see. It's very difficult to rearrange a department and move forward. I'd also like to say I'd like to thank George Fye. The Sugar Hill Inn deal was due to a lot of hard work by George. It wasn't an easy thing to put together. I appreciate what he did. These are the kind of things that we need in this township, and we try to do everything we can to keep businesses like this moving. And from what I understand, the owner's looking to put some money into it and improve it. And this is something that, you know, we need in this town to keep making things. Sugar Hill Inn is the staple in this town. It is the one constant that's been here for a lot of years. I believe they said there's only been 4 owners in 100 and some years or something of that nature. That's a lot. That's a lot of years and very few owners. So you can tell that the people that owned it really cared about it, and now it moves into the hands of somebody who seems to be very, very excited about being here and making it a better than it already is. So that's great, and thank you, George, for putting that together. I appreciate it. Hometown celebration was great. Yes, it was hot, and this water slide was great. The only problem I saw was when the adults were pushing the kids out of the way to get on the water slide. It was kind of an ugly scene there for a little while, but overall it was great. I appreciate what the Merchants Association has done year in and year out to make it a good time, and I'm sure we'll be back there next year for everybody to enjoy. So with that, I'd like to open it up to public comment? Anybody in the public like to speak? Yes, Maureen? Yep.
I want to take a moment, Maureen Bugden, Morningside Drive,
Thank
to congratulate all of the gentlemen who applied for the chief of police position, and if you would beg my indulgence, I think it's important that we give them all a round of applause.
Yes, I agree.
Also, last week, there was a very small memorial service for one of our former mayors who happened to be an incredibly close friend of mine, Bill Mangles. His family flew up from Florida with just about 20 people. Bill was never one for much pomp and circumstance. And however, he had mentioned before he passed, back in January, the last time I talked to him was probably in December, that he knew there was going to be the need for a new chief of police at some point, and I know that he thought very, very highly of most of these gentlemen, with a particular fondness for Greg Sambrone and his time on the Police Athletic League. So we have a lot to be grateful for tonight, with certainly all four of them, but certainly a changing time in our community. And I just think that it's tremendous for Greg. And
Anyone else in the public like to speak? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Hello, my name is James Kinsey. I'm here basically to ask about a issue for one of my Eagle Scout requirements. All right, so basically, I'm here to ask about the recent changes on Malaga Road. So, if you're unaware of what I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure the speed limit used to be about 50 there, and it was recently reduced to more along the lines of 40 miles an hour. That and is now, they made it so you can't, so there's no passing. However, despite this, people are still going above the speed limit. People are still, passing on the road, and it's a bit of a safety issue. Is there anything, being done about this? And is there anything that the youth in the community could do to help, raise awareness or, do anything like that?
I don't know if there's anything that the youth can do. We have had police officers out there to work that area especially. And they've given out their fair share of tickets. But as you noted, that people go right back to the habits that they had before.
Right.
There's really, other than having an officer sit out there 24/7, there's really no way you can stop them.
Right.
I appreciate your concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speed bumps.
Yeah.
That would be pretty tough for that road.
Anyone else from the public like to speak?
Motion to close public portion?
Second.
Of the Township of Hamilton, that this meeting be adjourned to an executive session to discuss the following matters which are exempt from public discussion pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, Santor
But
litigation.
he deserves to
Be
be
it
a
further
chief.
resolved that the governing body may reconvene in public session and confirm the results of the executive session if there is a majority consensus for action to be taken on the matter tonight. Be it further resolved that the results of said executive session shall be made known as soon as the basis for confidentiality is no longer confidential.
Thank you.
I figured as much.
Executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A motion is second to come out of executive session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Report that we have nothing to report at this time. See nobody in the audience. It's 8:29 or thereabouts. So we have a motion for adjournment as an order.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Motion and second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.